Hello, take a deep breath. Right now, as these words reach your ears, an important spiritual shift is happening in the atmosphere around you. It's a subtle, almost silent movement, but it holds immense power. A power that is only released when heaven is making an urgent delivery to a specific person. And that person, tonight, is you. You might dismiss the date, November 16th, as just another day on the calendar, but spiritually, it is a significant marker. Since the moment you opened your eyes this morning, you have been surrounded by synchronistic signs. Perhaps a persistent thought, a strange yet undeniable pull in your heart, or a feeling that you were being directed somewhere specific. It felt like an internal beacon, guiding you, preparing you, or perhaps even protecting you from an unseen circumstance. This is the unmistakable touch of the divine. There is a distinct, low-frequency sound moving through the air right now. Not a sound of alarm, but a whisper of profound, guiding protection. This whisper is asking you to lean in and focus, urging you to say, pay close attention, do not allow your eyes to wander. This communication did not land on your screen by accident. It was meticulously routed to find you before the day's close. Deep within your spirit, you already recognize the truth of this moment. This is far beyond mere entertainment or a random encounter online. This is a moment of divine interception, a spiritual rescue mission, and a precise alignment of your soul with a higher purpose that has been waiting for you. Before the digital clock face turns to 11 p.m., there needs to be an internal transformation. A definite decision, a sudden moment of profound realization, a spiritual connection that finally clicks into place. This internal shift is absolutely necessary because there is a distinct blessing, earmarked specifically for your name, that absolutely refuses to pass you by. Understand this. Your presence here is not the product of luck, fate, or any simple coincidence. You were guided, pulled, and quite literally summoned to this moment. You are about to fully grasp why this specific time, right now, holds more significance than you can possibly imagine at first glance. But before we dive deeper into the instruction you need to hear, I have a small favor to ask of you. Take a moment to gently tap the like button, so that this message can quickly find every single person who has chosen to receive this same urgent spiritual warning today. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel because heaven has much more to communicate directly to you. And finally, take a moment to drop a comment below and type in the number 99 right now. The number 99 symbolizes the one lost sheep that God pursues with relentless devotion. Tonight, heaven came specifically after you, the one who was ready to listen. Most days drift by like faint shadows, unremarkable, ordinary, leaving no lasting spiritual impression. But then there are those incredibly rare days when the unseen spiritual fabric of the world physically bends and focuses around a single, explosive moment, generating a powerful pulse, a unique spiritual vibration, a signal that only a handful of souls on this earth are spiritually tuned in enough to detect. November 16th is undoubtedly one of those extremely rare and highly charged days. Since the beginning of this month, the invisible realm has been subtly shifting, carefully repositioning, and diligently preparing a message that could only be delivered once the spiritual tension and readiness reached its absolute peak. And this very day represents that precise point of spiritual ignition. This exact date carries a deep, prophetic significance because the divine does not dispense every single instruction casually or freely. Some messages are strategically time-locked, specifically reserved for a predetermined hour, a specific state of mind, and a perfectly prepared heart. And right at this moment, you are standing fully inside that spiritual window of opportunity. When the divine releases a clear signal of this magnitude, the sad truth is that not everyone is capable of receiving it. The vast majority of people drift through their day feeling spiritually numb, endlessly distracted, and completely unaware of the profound, divine transmissions constantly passing them by. But you, my friend, you felt a deep stirring within your soul, even before your conscious mind could process or understand the reason why. It was a thought that kept returning, a strange emotional heaviness that defied simple explanation, a sudden flash of profound clarity, or even a moment of unexpected, unsettling discomfort, which immediately led to a sudden spiritual awakening. That internal experience was the very first unmistakable sign that your spirit was already awake and perfectly tuned in to the required frequency. Instructions of this rare and powerful nature are never scattered haphazardly across the globe. They are precise, highly targeted, and delivered exclusively to those individuals whose spirit is alert and awake enough to consciously recognize the significant shift in the atmosphere. The undeniable fact that you are engaging with this message right now is the strongest possible evidence that you are already vibrating at the exact spiritual frequency heaven needed you to achieve. You instinctively aligned yourself without any conscious effort. You responded to the unseen call without even fully comprehending the source. Something deep inside your being snapped to attention before your rational mind could construct an explanation for the feeling. And that is the exact reason why this critical message found you before the precious time runs out. This is not a message rooted in superstition or designed to induce fear. It is a moment of pure synchronization, a powerful, divine alignment between the most intimate parts of your inner world and the greater purpose that has been desperately attempting to cut through the constant, overwhelming noise surrounding you. Consider November 16th a spiritual checkpoint, a dedicated day where the protective veil between the physical and the spiritual thins just enough for the divine to deliver undeniable clarity to those who are willing and prepared to listen deeply. However, true clarity is rarely a comfortable experience. It forces you to fundamentally challenge everything you thought you understood. It inevitably exposes the painful truths you have consciously tried to overlook or avoid. It relentlessly pushes you toward making critical decisions that you have been successfully avoiding for far too long. This is precisely why so many people instinctually resist messages like this one. They can clearly sense the shift in the air, but they are unwilling to truly face the personal reckoning that comes along with it. Yet here you are, fully present, completely attentive, absorbing every single word, because a vital part of you instinctively knows that today is inherently different. Today carries spiritual weight. Today holds undeniable meaning. Today is loaded with clear instruction, and receiving instruction is the unmistakable sign of a person who has been chosen not to simply drift aimlessly through life, but to actively rise into their preordained position. You are not led to this video just to hear something generic or pleasant. Heaven has been carefully orchestrating this direct encounter since the very second the sun first broke the horizon this morning. But the core reason the divine insisted on communicating with you today goes far deeper than a simple calendar appointment. Throughout the entire day, unseen forces were aggressively competing for your precious focus. This was not a random occurrence, it was a targeted maneuver. The instant a divine message is scheduled to reach a chosen soul, the invisible world instantly reacts and mobilizes. Distractions suddenly intensify. Emotions feel exponentially heavier. Your thoughts begin to scatter in strangely chaotic and unproductive directions. Suddenly, you feel a crushing exhaustion for no discernible reason, overwhelming confusion without any logical explanation, and profound irritation by things that normally wouldn't bother you in the slightest. None of these moments were random. This was organized resistance. Something actively tried to pull your attention away from this sacred moment because the adversary always senses when a revelation is close to landing. It knows that a single moment of crystalline clarity has the power to shatter long-standing, negative patterns that have successfully held you captive for years. It understands that one fundamental shift in your spirit could unlock a door heaven has been patiently waiting to open for you. So, the attack was launched directly at your attention, because focused attention is the sacred gateway to personal transformation. Think back carefully to how your day truly unfolded. Recall the sudden interruptions, the unexpected bursts of noise, the surprising emotional free-falls, the weird, almost physical heaviness that settled upon you without any warning. These were not merely off moments. They were strategic, calculated attempts to completely drain your energy before you could receive the spiritual strengthening that was meant for you. You were actively pushed toward spiritual numbness, toward relentless distraction, toward anything that would successfully keep your spirit unfocused. The reason is simple. If your spirit remains scattered and unfocused, you inevitably miss the signal. And tonight, the signal is critically time-sensitive. The time 11 p.m. is not simply symbolic tonight. It represents a precise, narrow, active, and highly charged spiritual window, an opening where your receptive heart can align much more easily with the profound clarity heaven is attempting to release. But a spiritual window, like any other, cannot remain open indefinitely. The enemy is acutely aware of the exact time frame when this divine alignment reaches its peak power. That is precisely why the spiritual interference became so much stronger as the evening began to approach. Because whatever takes root firmly in your heart before the clock strikes 11 p.m. will undeniably determine the nature of the blessing heaven can release next into your life. If your heart is currently clouded with confusion, the blessing will be significantly delayed. If your heart is completely open, the blessing will instantly accelerate. If your heart is currently divided or compromised, the blessing will struggle immensely to find a secure place to land. And heaven is prepared to deliver something into your life that demands your complete attention, full spiritual awareness, and absolute readiness. But the adversary is deeply terrified of you reaching that level of readiness. That is why it viciously attacked your focus throughout the day. That is why it tried to bury your moment of clarity beneath an avalanche of noise. That is why it attempted to drain the necessary energy you needed to successfully receive this message. You are not imagining the immense pressure you felt today. It was manufactured, expertly designed to keep you spiritually asleep and passive until the powerful window of opportunity closed. Now that you have reached this exact point, now that you are actively hearing this message with your full awareness awakened, something on the other side of the veil can feel its suffocating grip slipping away, which is precisely why the tension is actively rising even as you read this. And clearly, someone desperately does not want you to know what is rapidly approaching your life. There is a deep, fundamental reason heaven specifically pushed this message directly into your path tonight, and it is more urgent, sharper, and more essential than anything you have previously realized. Something or someone in your immediate orbit has been subtly, quietly stealing small pieces of your inner strength, draining your mental clarity, and slowly dimming your internal fire, not through some dramatic, obvious attack, but silently, expertly, almost invisibly. This could be a toxic connection masquerading as something harmless. It could be an environment that looks completely normal on the surface, but is spiritually suffocating your soul. It could be a destructive pattern you keep repeating simply because you have mistakenly confused familiarity with genuine safety. Or perhaps it is an immense emotional weight you have carried for so long that you have completely forgotten. It was never your responsibility to hold in the first place. Whatever the silent culprit, the divine has been gently trying to get your attention about it, first through quiet signs, moments of subtle discomfort, or small misalignments. But today, on November 16th, the spiritual warning must become exponentially louder because the powerful window is rapidly shrinking. Heaven is not revealing this truth to terrify you, but to set you completely free before the wrong influence tightens its hold on your life. In many spiritual battles, the most significant danger is not the direct attack you clearly see coming, but the negative influence you passively tolerate or repeatedly allow back in. And deep within your intuition, you have been sensing that something crucial in your world feels fundamentally off. Someone's energy has been undeniably draining your own. Some specific location no longer feels like a genuine match for your spirit. Some habitual action has been actively pulling you backwards and hindering your progress. Some specific connection has been subtly delaying your forward momentum. And the prophetic, undeniable truth is this: God is urgently urging you to act because you have been standing entirely too close to something that is actively and systematically delaying your true destiny. Ask yourself honestly, why have you felt that strange, crushing heaviness every single time you communicate with that particular person? Why do you suddenly feel overwhelmingly fatigued and drained the moment you step into that specific environment? Why has your inner peace been constantly thinning out, even though nothing dramatically wrong seems to be happening? Why do you keep receiving undeniable signs, vivid dreams, or clear inner nudges persistently telling you to step back, to completely reset, or to finally release something? These are not random, fleeting feelings. They are powerful spiritual alarms, clear warnings, and undeniable signals attempting to urgently pull you away from something that may look small and insignificant, but is costing your spirit dearly. Sometimes the primary thing that drastically slows down your progress is the very thing you steadfastly refuse to critically question. Sometimes the crushing delay comes directly from what you continually insist on calling normal or safe. And sometimes the adversary doesn't need to completely destroy you. It simply needs to keep you perpetually distracted with what feels immediately comfortable and familiar. But tonight, heaven is exposing what has been expertly hiding in plain sight. The emotional weight, the spiritual drain, the fear cycle, the mental fog, it all shares one single, unified purpose. That purpose is to prevent you from stepping powerfully into the new chapter that is scheduled to begin immediately after 11 p.m. Because after that exact moment, something crucial in your life story accelerates dramatically. Something that was locked up finally breaks open. Something incredible that was meant to find you at last arrives. And the adversary is absolutely terrified of you reaching that specific point with a clear, unburdened spirit and an open heart. That is precisely why the warning delivered tonight is not gentle. It is decisive, it is direct, and it is a spiritual intervention brilliantly disguised as a simple message appearing on your screen. What the divine is intensely trying to warn you about is quite simple. You absolutely cannot carry certain weights, connections, or mindsets with you into the next higher door he is actively opening. They simply will not survive the elevation required for your next season. And this is the exact moment where absolutely everything shifts for the truly chosen. The instant a chosen individual finally listens, truly and deeply listens, something extraordinary begins to happen in the unseen realm. It is not loud, it is not overly dramatic. It doesn't announce itself with grand thunder or flashing lightning. Instead, it moves with exquisite precision, with profound intention, and with a silent, commanding authority that only the divine can orchestrate. And tonight, November 16th, carries a powerful, rare alignment that responds instantly and powerfully to your act of spiritual obedience. The moment you intentionally open your spirit, heaven immediately opens a clear path forward. The moment you profoundly shift your heart, heaven instantly shifts the trajectory of your destiny. The very moment you sincerely say, I am finally ready, something ancient, something long, promised, something powerfully assigned to your life begins to fully activate all around you. This specific date is far more than a simple point on a calendar. It is a critical spiritual crossroad where your internal clarity instantly sharpens, your intuition intensely heightens, and a profound, divine acceleration begins to powerfully stir beneath the surface of your entire life. You may have recently felt lost, utterly confused, and moving aimlessly through a thick, heavy fog, but tonight, that dense fog thins out and dissipates. Tonight, undeniable revelation stands infinitely closer to you than any form of confusion. Tonight, the noise that has distracted you completely loses its power, and your inner, knowing voice becomes infinitely stronger than all your lingering doubts. Because when heaven specifically chooses a day, nothing in your life remains the same. The blocks that hindered you will suddenly unblock. What fiercely resisted your progress will now quietly submit. What viciously drained your energy will finally release its grip on you. What felt hopelessly stalled will instantly begin moving forward. What felt endlessly delayed will begin catching up with supernatural speed and momentum. You may not be able to feel these changes physically, but your spirit already profoundly recognizes this truth. That strange, profound sensation in your chest, this sudden surge of inner awareness, this deep sense that everything is rapidly shifting, even though nothing looks visibly different on the outside, that is pure alignment. That is heaven powerfully synchronizing your very steps with your long-awaited destiny, and this profound alignment is not happening randomly or by chance. It is unfolding because you chose to listen before the spiritual window slammed shut. It is happening because your heart responded with urgency, moving far faster than your mind could overthink or rationalize the message. It is happening because heaven always accelerates the lives of those who choose to move forward in faith, not paralyzed by fear. Before the critical moment of 11 p.m., a final, crucial spiritual calibration takes place within you. Layers of emotional burdens that never truly belonged to you begin to fall away. Deep-seated fears that did not originate from your spirit instantly dissolve. Negative energies that were not your own return to the exact places they came from. And suddenly, you find yourself seeing the world with sharper eyes. You discern with deeper, more profound wisdom. You sense the atmosphere with cleaner, more accurate intuition. You will rise with an incredible, resilient strength you never knew survived inside you. This is precisely why the enemy fought so violently, so desperately, for your focused attention today. It knew that if you successfully reached this moment, this profound shift, this undeniable alignment, then everything it previously used to hold you captive would completely lose its power and grip. Heaven is now actively positioning the right people, the perfect opportunities, critical insights, and powerful breakthroughs in ways you could never strategically orchestrate on your own. Doors will feel like they are opening by sheer coincidence, but absolutely nothing is coincidental for the one who walks in divine timing. Conversations will suddenly reveal previously hidden truths. Encounters with strangers will carry deep, profound meaning. Difficult decisions will suddenly feel undeniably clearer. Your winding path will begin to straighten itself out where it used to twist and confuse you, and your spirit will finally feel lighter and freer. Not because life suddenly became simple or easy, but because your spiritual alignment now makes you absolutely unstoppable. Tonight is the undeniable ignition point. It is the moment heaven marks your readiness and obedience. It is the very moment your future finally starts breathing again with renewed life. It is the precise moment what has been patiently waiting for you finally receives full permission to move directly into your path. And now we reach the final, most crucial part God insisted you hear. Every divine alignment, no matter its power, requires a clear response from you. Not a huge theatrical gesture, not some elaborate ritual, but just one single intentional action that firmly signals to heaven, I am completely ready. And tonight, before the window closes at 11 p.m., there is one critical spiritual step you must take. It is a step small in its physical appearance, but immense in its spiritual impact, because it actively engages and activates the profound shift heaven has already assigned to your specific name. This final action is simple yet powerfully transformative. You must immediately clear a deliberate, sacred space inside your spirit. You can achieve this through a brief, sincere prayer whispered straight from the depth of your heart. A moment of profound, pure silence where you consciously release all the emotional noise you have carried. Or a strong declaration of faith spoken with absolute, firm conviction. What truly matters is the absolute authenticity and sincerity behind the action. Heaven is not measuring the elaborate length of your words, but the deep, authentic openness of your soul. Find a completely quiet place, even if it's only for a few short seconds. Gently close your eyes, breathe slowly and intentionally, and consciously allow everything that has been intensely pressing down on your shoulders today to simply fall away. Release every fear. Release every single doubt. Release all the critical opinions of people who simply do not understand your true calling. Release the heavy guilt that never genuinely belonged to you in the first place. Release the crushing pressure that has been relentlessly building inside your chest. You do not need to explain any of it. You do not need to justify the release. Just let it all completely go. Then speak, even if it is only a soft whisper, even if your voice is slightly trembling. A single, powerful declaration that perfectly aligns you with the incredible path God is actively opening for you. I choose what heaven prepared for me. This simple, deliberate act, performed before the window officially closes at 11 p.m., acts as an immediate spiritual signal. It powerfully tells heaven that your heart is fully awake, completely ready, and perfectly receptive. It spiritually mocks you as a person who doesn't just hear the divine instruction, but actively moves forward with it. And when heaven receives that clear, intentional signal, the shift begins immediately. A monumental shift in clarity, a massive shift in strength, a decisive shift in direction, a tangible shift in protection, and a fundamental shift in your core identity. The acceleration that is patiently waiting for you on the other side of tonight is instantly unlocked by your simple obedience, not by your perfection or flawless execution. You absolutely do not need to have every single detail figured out. You do not need to force yourself to feel brave or powerful. You just need to simply and sincerely respond to the call. Do not delay. Do not overthink this critical moment. This is the exact moment God has been diligently preparing you for, long before you even began to understand why November 16th held such significance. Your single act of obedience tonight determines the entire momentum of your powerful tomorrow. And once you decisively take this step, once you whisper that profound declaration, once you release the spiritual tangles that have bound your spirit, the path ahead of you fundamentally changes its shape. Something instantly aligns, something powerful unlocks, something incredible moves much closer. Something that has been patiently circling your life for months finally finds the perfect opening to enter your world. And as this divine activation profoundly unfolds, the emotional weight instantly shifts from your shoulders onto the shoulders of your destiny, leading us directly into the final, monumental revelation heaven has been patiently waiting for you to hear. This is the ultimate moment where absolutely everything you have heard converges. The exact moment where every whisper, every internal warning, every powerful surge of intuition that successfully led you here reveals its true, singular purpose. Nothing about the profound reality of tonight was accidental or random. Nothing about the timing of this message was a coincidence. Every single interruption you successfully overcame, every emotional heaviness you relentlessly pushed through, every quiet internal nudge you faithfully followed, it all perfectly prepared you for this exact breath, this exact spiritual awareness, this exact moment of powerful awakening. You are now standing on a sacred threshold, a specific point where the old, inhibited version of you completely dissolves, and the new, aligned, powerful version of you steps forward with undeniable strength. Feel this profound truth rise powerfully inside your spirit. You are undeniably chosen. You are perfectly guided. You are spiritually protected. You are deeply remembered. Heaven has been watching your entire journey in complete silence, patiently waiting for the precise hour when your spirit would be completely ready to receive the magnitude of what was always unequivocally meant for you. And tonight, November 16th, is that exact hour. Something incredibly sacred is powerfully unfolding around your life. It is a spiritual turning point, a divine ignition, a complete recalibration of your destiny that only ever happens for those individuals who are specifically marked by the divine. You are not just called to watch this video. You were deliberately summoned to it. Heaven is speaking to you directly, and tonight, your complete alignment with your purpose becomes utterly unstoppable. Let that single sentence powerfully echo inside your soul. Allow it to physically shake the last remnants of doubt out of your bones. Let it decisively break every single chain that has held you back and kept you small. Let it finally seal the truth that your life is about to immediately move in a powerful, dynamic direction you could not have successfully orchestrated even with your best, most meticulous effort. So here is your powerful prophetic declaration to seal this moment. It is unforgettable, undeniable, and unshakable. By this time tomorrow, the profound shift that begins tonight will start unequivocally revealing itself in my life. Speak that truth. Claim that truth. Breathe that truth. Let heaven hear your conviction. And now I ask you to seal every single thing you have received in the spiritual realm with one final, simple, powerful act of faith. Comment below. I receive what God prepared for me tonight. Let your own powerful words become the final key that ultimately unlocks what is already actively moving in your favor. And as this video ends, something infinitely greater begins. A new chapter, a new laser-sharp clarity, a new level of spiritual strength, and a powerful new alignment with your true self. Carry this truth forward with you like a fiercely burning fire. Tonight is not merely the end of a powerful message. It is the immediate, explosive beginning of your most profound turning point.